The orchid hall glowed like a dream that night. Golden chandeliers sparkled over the crowd, laughter filled the air, and soft music played as guests clinked their glasses. Nia Adesina, 28, stood by the dessert table, her emerald dress catching the light. It was her sister Tari's engagement party, the kind of night that was supposed to be perfect. Tari, stunning in gold lace and confidence, raised her glass high. "To family, the people who love you no matter what," she said, her smile wide and bright. The guests cheered, cameras flashed, and everyone laughed. But Nia felt something tighten in her chest. She knew that smile too well, the one Tari used when she wanted to hide something. For years, Tari had treated her like competition, never like a sister. Every time Nia achieved something, Tari found a way to make her feel small. Still, Nia stayed calm, believing tonight would be different, a night about love, not rivalry. As the night went on, the music grew louder, the champagne flowed, and the guests danced under the lights. Tari walked over, hugged Nia tightly, and handed her a fresh glass. "To us," she said sweetly. Nia smiled back and took a sip. Within seconds, her head began to spin. The room blurred. Her legs gave out. Gasps filled the hall as she collapsed to the floor. Tari dropped her glass and screamed, pretending to panic. But what she didn't know was that in the far corner of the hall, a small security camera kept recording, capturing every secret, every move, and the truth that would soon change everything. The sharp smell of disinfectant filled Nia's nose as she slowly opened her eyes. White ceiling, beeping machines, a dull ache in her head. It took her a few seconds to realize she was in a hospital bed. Her throat was dry, her vision blurry. Panic set in. The last thing she remembered was Tari's engagement party. The music, the champagne, the lights spinning before everything went black. A nurse walked in and smiled gently. "You're awake. You're lucky, ma'am. The sedative in your system wasn't strong enough to do serious harm, but it could have been bad." "Sedative?" Nia whispered, confused. "You mean someone drugged me?" The nurse frowned slightly. "We're not sure how it got there, but your drink contained traces of a mild sedative. You should rest." Before Nia could ask more, the door opened, and her sister Tari rushed in with red eyes and trembling hands. "Oh my God, Nia," she cried dramatically. "You scared us all. What happened to you?" Nia stared at her. "You tell me." "I was drinking what you gave me." Tari's face froze for half a second before she forced a laugh. "Oh, please. You must have mixed drinks, Nia. You always overthink everything." She sat beside her, squeezing her hand. "You ruined my night, but thank God you're okay." A moment later, their mother, Madame Funkadesina, swept into the room, elegant as always, her expression sharp. "Nia," she said coldly, "how could you embarrass this family like that? Passing out at your sister's engagement party." Nia blinked in disbelief. "Embarrass the family?" "I almost collapsed." "Enough," her mother snapped. "Tari has been crying nonstop because of you. That night was supposed to be special, and you turned it into a scene." Tari sniffled beside her, playing the victim perfectly. "I just wanted a perfect evening," she whispered. Nia looked between them, her chest tightening. No one believed her. No one cared to ask what really happened. But deep down, she knew the truth. Just before she'd lost consciousness, she'd seen Tari's face. Not worried, not afraid, but smiling. A quiet, satisfied smirk. And then it clicked. Just a week ago, Tari had come to her begging for a 5 million Nigerian nairas loan to save her fiancé's failing business. Nia had gently refused, explaining she couldn't risk her company's funds. Tari had left in tears, accusing her of jealousy and selfishness. Now, lying weak in that hospital bed, Nia realized that her sister's pride ran deeper than love. Tari couldn't handle rejection, especially not from the sister she secretly hated for being stronger, calmer, and more respected. As Tari hugged her goodbye, whispering fake concern, Nia kept her eyes open this time. The warmth in her sister's voice didn't match the coldness in her eyes. Something inside Nia shifted that day, a quiet anger, sharp and clear. Tari thought she had won, but Nia knew the truth always finds its way out. And when it does, it never hides behind a smile. 2 days after the hospital, Nia returned home to her quiet apartment in Lekki. The place felt different now, colder, heavier. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw flashes of that night. Tari's perfect smile, the clinking glasses, the dizzy feeling creeping up her spine. She tried to rest, but her mind wouldn't stop racing. That evening, she decided to tidy up, hoping it would distract her. As she emptied her clutch bag onto the table, something small and silver slipped out, a flash drive. She frowned. "What's this?" she murmured, turning it over in her hand. It didn't belong to her. Then she remembered. The venue staff had handed her bag back after the chaos. Maybe they'd mixed something up by accident. Curious, she plugged the flash drive into her laptop. A folder popped open, Orchid Hall security footage. Her pulse quickened. She clicked on the most recent file, the night of the engagement. At first, it was just normal party footage, people laughing, dancing, servers moving around. But then the camera zoomed toward the bar area. There was Tari in her gold lace dress, whispering something to the bartender. He hesitated, then handed her a glass. Nia leaned closer to the screen. She saw Tari pull out a small packet, pour something into the drink, and stir it quickly before glancing around. A second later, Tari smiled brightly and called out, "Nia, come, have a toast with me." Nia's heart froze. Her hand flew to her mouth. The glass slipped from her fingers, crashing to the floor, but she didn't even flinch. She couldn't move, couldn't breathe. She replayed the clip again, hoping she was wrong. But no, it was clear. Her own sister had poisoned her drink. Her body trembled, but not from fear, from disbelief. She pressed her palms against the table, staring blankly at the screen. The same sister who had cried at her bedside, who had blamed her for ruining the night, had done it all. The betrayal felt like a knife twisting deeper each time she replayed that moment. 1,000 memories came rushing back. The jealousy, the fake compliments, the small digs at her success. She'd always brushed them off, thinking Tari just needed attention. But now it all made sense. Tari didn't just envy her, she wanted to destroy her. For a long time, Nia sat in silence, the only sound being her shaky breath and the faint hum of her laptop. Then slowly, her tears dried. Her trembling stopped. A calmness settled over her, cold, steady, powerful. She whispered to the screen, voice low but firm. "You wanted to see me fall, sister, but you'll see me stand taller instead." And in that moment, something in Nia changed forever. She wasn't the quiet one anymore. She was the storm coming for justice. And this time, the camera was her witness. Nia didn't sleep that night. The video kept replaying in her mind. Tari's smirk, the powder falling into her drink, the fake hug after she collapsed. Every part of her wanted to storm into her sister's house and scream the truth to her face. But she stopped herself. Tari loved drama. She lived for chaos. If Nia exploded, Tari would twist the story, play the victim, and make everyone believe her. So Nia chose silence, calm, dangerous silence. The next morning, she called her best friend, Ao, a sharp lawyer with a calm voice that always made her think clearly. When Nia told her everything, Ao was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Don't rush. Don't confront her yet. People like Tari destroy themselves if you give them enough rope. Let her dig her own grave." That advice stuck. Nia started collecting everything, her hospital report, the blood test results showing the sedative, even the security footage she'd found on the flash drive. She reached out to one of the waiters from the party, who quietly confirmed that Tari had gone behind the bar twice that night. Each detail became another piece of her quiet puzzle. Meanwhile, Tari was busy posting pictures from her engagement party online. All smiles, gold lace, and fake happiness. The caption read, "My perfect night, surrounded by love and blessings." Thousands of likes poured in, comments filled with hearts and praise. "You two are goals. So elegant. A queen." Nia scrolled through the comments, her expression blank. She didn't feel anger anymore, just a strange calmness, the kind that comes before a storm. She whispered to herself, "Perfect night, huh? Let's make the next one truly unforgettable." A few days later, the Adesina family announced the second celebration, a formal engagement dinner at the mansion. It was supposed to be the night where both families gave their final blessings before the wedding. Everyone would be there, relatives, family friends, and even journalists covering the Adesina love story. Tari was glowing with attention, visiting designers, showing off her ring, and acting like the world adored her. She even called Nia, pretending nothing had happened. "Sister, you must come early this time. I want everyone to see how close we are." Nia smiled faintly into the phone. "Of course, Tari. I wouldn't miss it." After hanging up, she turned to Ao. "She wants a show," Nia said quietly. "Then give her one," Ao replied. "But make sure you control the stage." For the next few days, Nia worked in silence, preparing her evidence, saving copies, and arranging everything carefully. She didn't raise her voice, didn't post online, didn't warn anyone. She simply waited, steady and calm, while Tari danced in the spotlight, unaware that her downfall was already written. And when the night of the second engagement arrived, Nia was ready, not with anger, but with truth. The Adesina mansion glittered like a palace that night. Fairy lights draped across the garden, music played softly, and the air buzzed with laughter and perfume. It was the second engagement dinner, the big one, where both families would give their blessings before Tari's wedding. Every corner was filled with guests, photographers, and the sweet smell of celebration. Nia arrived a little late, and the moment she stepped out of her car, all eyes turned to her. She wore an emerald green gown she designed herself, elegant, bold, and impossible to ignore. The dress shimmered under the lights, hugging her figure perfectly. Her makeup was soft, her hair pulled back neatly, and her confidence glowed brighter than the chandeliers. Tari spotted her from across the garden, her smile faltering for just a second. She walked up, clutching a champagne flute, her gold dress sparkling under the light. "You look expensive," she said, forcing a laugh that didn't reach her eyes. Nia smiled sweetly. "Success looks good on me, don't you think?" For a moment their eyes met, a quiet war hidden behind perfect smiles. Guests nearby complimented them, saying how beautiful the sisters looked, how blessed the family was. No one noticed the tension simmering just beneath the surface. As the night went on, speeches began. Tari's fiancé, Kola, thanked everyone for their support. Madame Funk, their mother, spoke proudly about family values, and laughter followed every toast. Everything looked perfect, too perfect. Then Nia stood up, her calm voice cutting through the chatter. "Before we toast again tonight," she said softly, holding her glass, "I'd like to play something beautiful we all missed from last week's celebration." People turned, curious. The projector screen behind her flickered to life. Tari's confident smile wavered, a flicker of fear crossing her face. "What is this?" she whispered to Kola, who shrugged, still smiling for the cameras. Nia walked to the side of the garden where the technician stood. "Play it," she said simply. The lights dimmed slightly as the video began. At first, it was harmless. Clips of guests laughing, dancing, and clinking glasses from the engagement night. The crowd chuckled, enjoying the memories. But then the footage zoomed in on the bar area. Tari shifted uncomfortably. "Nia, what is this?" she said, forcing a nervous laugh. Nia just smiled faintly, her eyes never leaving her sister. "Just wait. It gets better." The sound of glasses clinking filled the speakers. On the screen, Tari could be seen whispering to the bartender, looking around, then pouring something into a champagne glass. Gasps rippled quietly through the crowd. Tari's face drained of color. "Turn that off," she hissed, but her voice trembled. Nia's expression remained calm, almost gentle, as she took a sip of water. "Relax, sister," she said softly. "We're just getting to the truth." The garden fell silent. Everyone watched the screen, and Tari's golden image began to crack, frame by frame. The garden fell silent. The laughter, the music, the clinking of glasses, everything stopped the moment the footage began to play. On the giant projector screen, Tari appeared, perfectly dressed in gold lace, her face glowing with confidence. But then the crowd watched as she leaned toward the bartender, whispered something, and pulled out a small packet from her clutch. Gasps filled the air as Tari poured the white powder into a champagne glass, stirred it, and looked around nervously before smiling brightly. Then on screen, she called out sweetly, "Nia, come, let's toast together." The whispers started immediately. Guests leaned toward each other, murmuring in disbelief. "Is that Tari? She drugged her own sister? Oh my God." Tari's hands began to shake. Her face turned pale. "Turn that off," she shouted suddenly. "This isn't what it looks like." But her fiancé, Kola, stood frozen, staring at the screen with wide eyes. "Tari," he said slowly, his voice breaking. "What is this? Tell me this isn't real." Tari looked at him desperately. "Kola, please. Someone must have edited it. She's lying." Their mother, Madame Funk, jumped up from her chair, furious. "Enough," she snapped. "Turn that nonsense off right now. This is a family matter, and you will not shame us like this in front of everyone." But Nia didn't flinch. She stood tall, calm, and unshaken in her emerald gown. The crowd turned toward her, waiting to see what she would do. "Families shouldn't try to poison each other," Nia said softly, her voice steady but sharp enough to cut through the silence. Madame Funk glared at her. "You think humiliating your sister in public makes you better?" Nia's eyes glistened, but she didn't cry. "No, Mama. I'm not humiliating her. I'm just showing the truth everyone refused to see." The footage ended with the moment Nia collapsed on the floor, Tari pretending to panic as people rushed forward. When the screen went black, no one spoke. All eyes were on Tari, who stood trembling, her makeup smudged, her confidence shattered. Kola stepped back from her slowly, shaking his head. "You almost killed your sister. For what? To look perfect." Tari tried to reach for him, but he moved away. The photographers who had once taken glamorous shots of the couple now stood frozen, unsure whether to lower their cameras or keep filming the scandal unfolding before. The guests whispered louder now, voices filled with shock, pity, and judgment. The same people who used to laugh at Nia's quiet nature now saw the strength in her calm. She hadn't screamed. She hadn't fought. She'd simply let the truth speak for itself. Nia looked at her sister one last time, her voice low but powerful. "You wanted to destroy me, Tari, but all you really did was show the world who you are." And with that, she turned away, leaving the crowd speechless and Tari standing alone beneath the bright lights, her golden mask finally shattered. Tari stood frozen for a few seconds after the video ended, her chest rising and falling fast. Then suddenly she broke. Tears spilled down her face as she dropped to her knees, crying uncontrollably. "It's not true. It's not what it looks like," she screamed, her voice trembling. "I didn't mean to hurt anyone. Nia, please, tell them I wouldn't do that to you." But no one moved. The silence around her was heavy, awkward, and full of judgment. Guests who once called her the golden child, the perfect daughter, the classy bride-to-be, now avoided her eyes. Phones had stopped recording, whispers turned sharp, and the entire Adesina name hung in the air like smoke after a fire. Kola, her fiancé, stood a few feet away, looking completely shattered. His shoulders slumped, his jaw clenched. When he finally spoke, his voice was cold. "Tari," he said slowly, "I saw it with my own eyes. You poisoned your own sister." "No," Tari cried, crawling closer to him. "It was a mistake. I was angry, I didn't mean." Kola stepped back. "You didn't mean to? You could have killed her, Tari. I can't marry someone who'd harm her own blood." His words hit like thunder. The guests gasped softly. Tari's sobs turned into wails. She reached for his arm, but he turned away, humiliated and heartbroken. The ring that once sparkled proudly on her hand now looked like a curse. Madame Funk suddenly stood up, her face filled with fury, not at Tari but at Nia. "You've destroyed this family," she shouted, pointing a shaking finger. "You could have handled this privately, but no. You wanted attention. You wanted to embarrass us." Nia stayed still, her expression calm. "No, Mama," she said quietly. "I didn't destroy this family. You did. The day you taught us that appearances matter more than truth." For a moment, even her mother couldn't speak. The crowd went silent again, the words echoing like a slap. Guests began leaving quietly, heads down, pretending not to stare. The once lively garden, filled with laughter and music, now felt cold and hollow. Plates of untouched food sat forgotten. The fairy lights still glowed, but the warmth was gone. As people whispered on their way out, words like shame, scandal, and betrayal floated through the air. The Adesina family, once respected, envied, admired, had fallen apart in one night. Tari sat on the grass, her makeup smeared, her dress wrinkled, sobbing uncontrollably as Kola walked out without looking back. Madame Funk followed him, begging for understanding, her voice breaking. Nia stood there quietly, watching the perfect image of her family crumble piece by piece. There were no winners that night, only truth, sharp, painful, and unstoppable. As she turned to leave, Nia whispered under her breath, "Sometimes truth doesn't destroy families, it just shows what was already broken." A week after the scandal, Nia packed her things and left the Adesina mansion without saying goodbye. The place that once felt like home now felt like a museum of lies. Too many memories, too much noise, too much pretending. She moved into a small studio apartment in Lekki, nothing fancy, just a quiet space with sunlight spilling through white curtains and enough peace to finally breathe. Every morning, she made herself coffee, sat by the window, and worked on her design. Her brand, NIH Designs, had always been her escape, her way of expressing strength through fabric and color. But one morning, she woke up to something she didn't expect, her phone buzzing nonstop. Messages, notifications, mentions. Someone from the engagement party had leaked the footage online. Within hours, it spread across social media. The video of Tari's betrayal, Nia's calm reaction, and that powerful line, "Families shouldn't try to poison each other." At first, Nia didn't know how to feel. She didn't ask for fame or sympathy. But the internet saw her differently, not as a victim, but as a woman who stood tall through humiliation and betrayal. Her story was shared everywhere. Fashion blogs, talk shows, and even women's magazines began calling her the face of grace under fire. Orders for NIH Designs doubled overnight. Celebrities wore her dresses. Journalists requested interviews. But more than that, her inbox filled with thousands of messages from women all across Africa, women who had been betrayed by family, lied to, or silenced. They told her, "You gave us courage." Nia read every message with quiet gratitude. She didn't feel powerful, just free. For the first time in her life, she wasn't living in her sister's shadow or her mother's approval. She was simply Nia, strong, peaceful, and finally her own person. Meanwhile, Tari's world fell apart in silence. Kola refused to see her. His family cut off all communication. Her friends stopped calling, too afraid to be associated with her name. Even social media, where she once shined, turned against her, comments filled with disappointment and disgust. She tried to defend herself, but the internet never forgets. The same spotlight that once adored her now burned her reputation to ashes. Madame Funk avoided public events, refusing to discuss her daughters. She blamed everyone but herself, too proud to admit that the perfect family image she built was gone for good. One evening, Nia sat on her studio couch, sketching a new design while Ao scrolled through her phone beside her. "Everyone's still talking about you," Ao said with a small smile. "You broke the internet without even trying." Nia laughed softly, sipping her tea. "I didn't ruin her life," she said finally, her voice calm and steady. "She did when she tried to ruin mine." Ao nodded quietly. As the city lights twinkled outside her window, Nia felt something she hadn't felt in years, peace. No mansion, no spotlight, no fake smiles, just truth, freedom, and a woman who learned that sometimes walking away is the most powerful revenge of all. It had been almost 6 months since the night everything changed. Life had found a calm rhythm for Nia, mornings filled with fabric samples, coffee, and quiet music in her Lecky studio. Her designs were selling faster than ever, and her name had become a symbol of strength and elegance. The pain had softened, replaced by purpose. Then, one rainy afternoon, a knock came on the glass door of her studio. When Nia looked up, her breath caught. Standing there, drenched and trembling, was Tari, her once perfect sister, the one who used to walk into every room with confidence, now looked like a shadow of herself. Her skin was pale, her clothes worn, her eyes red and tired. "Nia," Tari's voice cracked as she stepped inside. "Please. I don't expect forgiveness. I need help." For a moment, the air felt heavy. Nia froze, staring at her sister, the same person who once smiled while slipping something into her drink. Memories flooded back, the dizziness, the humiliation, the whispers. Her fingers clenched around the fabric she was holding. Tari's voice shook as she continued. "I've lost everything. Kola, my friends, even Mom barely speaks to me now. I know I deserve it, but I didn't know it would feel like this. I can't sleep, Nia. I keep seeing that night. I'm sorry." Nia didn't speak right away. She turned away, pretending to adjust a mannequin, trying to steady her heartbeat. Deep inside, anger and pity battled for space. Part of her wanted to shut the door and walk away, to remind Tari of what betrayal costs. But another part, the part that still remembered their childhood laughter, the bedtime stories, their father's voice, held her back. Her late father's words echoed in her mind. "Don't let their hate poison your soul." Nia took a slow breath and turned to face Tari. "I can't help you get back what you lost," she said softly, her tone steady. "But I'll help you find peace, if you're really ready for it." Tari's tears spilled over as she nodded, her shoulders shaking. "I am. I don't even want to fix my image anymore. I just want to be okay." Nia walked closer, picked up a towel from the counter, and handed it to her. "Then start by forgiving yourself," she said quietly. "That's harder than asking anyone else to." The sisters stood there in silence. No hugging, no dramatic reunion, just two broken hearts breathing in the same space again. It wasn't reconciliation, not yet. But it was something, the first small step toward mercy. When Tari finally left, the rain had stopped. Nia watched her walk away through the glass, her figure fading down the street. A single thought stayed in Nia's mind. Forgiveness didn't erase the past, but it set her free from carrying it. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. A full year had passed since that stormy chapter of Nia's life. The pain, the betrayal, the chaos, all of it had turned into fuel for something beautiful. That night, she stood backstage at Lagos Fashion Week, heart racing, surrounded by models dressed in her latest collection, bold, elegant pieces inspired by rebirth, strength, and truth. Every stitch told her story. Every color reflected the journey from darkness to light. As the lights dimmed and the first beat of music hit, Nia stepped onto the runway. The crowd gasped. Cameras flashed. She wasn't just a designer anymore. She was the story everyone wanted to hear. Her walk was calm, confident, almost poetic. The same woman who once lay in a hospital bed now commanded the spotlight like she was born for it. In the front row, Nia's eyes caught something unexpected, Tari. Her sister sat quietly among the guests, dressed in one of Nia's new designs. It was a soft ivory gown, simple but powerful, a symbol of humility and grace. Their eyes met for a moment. No words, no smiles, just understanding. Maybe forgiveness didn't need an audience. Maybe it just needed time. As the final model walked off the runway, the lights dimmed again, and Nia's voice played softly through the speaker, a recorded monologue. "They tried to break me in silence, but truth always has a microphone, even when it hides in the corner of a camera." The crowd erupted into applause. People stood, clapping, cheering, shouting her name. Cameras caught her tears glistening under the light. Nia looked up, smiling softly to herself. "This time," she whispered, "I toast not to family but to freedom." And as the curtain fell, it wasn't just the end of a show, it was the beginning of a new life.